Hello, and welcome to Tucson, Arizona. I'm Randy,
I'm Nick.
and this is Butch.
Butch.
Yeah. So, as I was about to say, this guy knows CAD.
Okay.
I don't.
I don't either.
I'm an idiot. So, he will have all the answers to your questions.
I
about,
have zero answers to any questions.
Hey, no, you knew that they weren't hollow.
Yeah.
I mean, they're mostly hollow. But
Yeah.
yeah, they've got some hexing in them. So,
What kind of CAD have you dealt with?
Well, machining stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was a machinist for a little bit. So
Oh, okay.
that
Same
kinda
type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Computer-aided drafting, just any sort of drawing.
cardboard aided drafting. That's the
Yes.
CAD I know.
Yeah.
Do you know how to program them then?
No.
No. Okay.
No, but you know how to design things in CAD.
Yes.
And that I've seen your truck. I don't know how to design things in CAD, and that's my hang up right now. Every time someone talks to me about making something, I'm like, well, let me figure that part out.
The internet is an amazing place, and you can find most things.
I know. But
On the
this,
internet.
why do you think I have this plethora of randomness on my table? And this isn't all that I've printed. This is just the stuff I printed this week.
So, just an example though. The internet is also filled with a ton of idiots. Hence,
Yes.
we're on a podcast
I'm
right
on
now.
the internet.
So you look
And-
up something and it's not right 90% of the time.
This will be on the internet about an hour and a half after it's done recording.
That thing there.
Yeah, it's caddy symbol.
Oh, okay.
So he
That's
he
fucking
wrote that
cool.
program.
Well, no, I drew it, and then you tell the computer, do stuff, and it does stuff.
Ah, can you like
humble.
submit a drawing into the scan a drawing in and it'll
Yeah, you
3D
draw
it
it.
and everything?
Yeah, you draw it and give it dimensions, and then that's AutoCAD for machining.
So what you're saying is we can do dick pics, and then
Yeah,
I mean,
life size.
it won't take a lot of
One to
the
one,
material.
1-to-1.
So,
Costs like $4 in material.
don't know
Yes.
if I can say that. And I'm sorry if you can't.
It's too late. I hate editing. I'm lazy.
May not be big, sure is skinny.
Yep.
Anyway,
How you doing, buddy? How's things? I'm glad you could finally make it.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were out ripping RCs right before you got here.
oh, you guys are doing it up in the driveway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's celebrating pretty big milestone in his life. Did you tell the world what you did, Butch?
Oh, I stopped smoking.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a-
since like January, and I was like, I need to waste my money somehow.
rightfully so.
I purchased an RC car.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a dope RC car. It's smokes mine.
So, how much was the RC car?
Like $350.
Do you think you saved that on cigarettes already?
No.
But
No?
he will.
Yeah, no.
Eventually, over time. Yeah. Possibly.
So as long as you don't keep buying RC cars, your habit will even out.
Eventually. Yes.
I'm gonna turn into Randy.
It is much like a heroin addict though, because you just throw money at it all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. His is the upgraded version of mine. Of this.
Yeah.
Like, dude. As soon as he turned it on and started ripping, I was like, oh, dude, like that's like I don't know, 40% faster than mine.
That's funny.
He's just doing standing wheelies. Like,
That's
yeah, that car is so freaking rad. And then we tried, because he's running 3S LiPo and I'm only running 2.
Mm-hmm.
We tried putting the 3S in mine. And I don't know if it's gear ratio, tire size, older model that's been beat up, combination of all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mine still wasn't as fast as his
Yeah.
with the same battery. Like, took the battery out of his, put it in mine.
Oh,
And mine just doesn't smoke like that one. That's rad. Like, I'm excited for him. I can't wait now. I've got a buddy I can go out and be like, hey man, let's go run RCs.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about a fun place he goes to run them. So I think there's going to be a field trip in our future. Do some
Indeed.
RC videos. Because I've put a few small, like, shorts. There's the big wash back here that's all concrete that we'd go back there and rip. Do a lot of four-wheeling up the walls. So 'cause it's a really steep incline. A couple of two-wheel drives over here have made it up the wall, but any kind of turn, and they just come rolling down. So, yeah. But I've had to build jumps, and that's why my front yard's got jumps in it. But that thing's freaking rad. Congrats, buddy. I'm happy for
Yeah.
you. Because how long you been smoking the cigarettes?
Uh,
Forever.
yeah. 18. years old or so, somewhere in there, when I could legally buy them. That's when I started. Yes.
I started smoking them when I was like 13, so
Yeah.
when I wasn't legally able to buy them.
Yeah.
But I stopped.
I was smoking other stuff at that point.
Oh, so was I. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all were.
I could not get into cigarettes. They just the taste of them. I never got into it. I mean, I hit a couple, but
Yeah. Yeah. You a couple times.
not.
I actually
not for me.
started smoking cigars first.
Oh, really?
And inhaling.
Yeah, I was doing
Like
that with prime
lit-
times.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yep.
I did prime times and then white owls.
White owls,
those
buddy. Yeah,
big
the
ass-
grape.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just smoke those like a cigarette, just inhale and everything.
Yep.
And then
How are you not dead?
I don't know.
Those are so harsh.
Yeah.
We used to do black and milds a lot.
Yep.
I mean, eventually we started just taking the tobacco out and
Yeah.
packing it. But you know,
Yeah.
Yep. Did that once or twice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the trick is
Misspent
you only
use.
do like an inch or two, and then you can smoke and drive, and then you're like, oh, if you get pulled over, it's just tobacco by that point.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I never. You can ask him. We
Teaching
actually
you
just
how to
talked
cry.
about it.
Yeah.
Anytime I've ever smoked the Mary Jane, I get super paranoid.
Oh yeah.
And I have to be either sitting in front of like video games or TV or something that
Something
keeps
that
my
feels
mind
safe.
occupied, or I am like sitting in a corner crying, not really crying, but
Yeah.
like I'm just like everybody's out to get me. Everybody, it's not legal anymore. I swear. like that's where
part
my
of the
mind
reason
goes.
I stopped was because I started doing weird stuff like that. I'm like, this is not normal. I don't want this.
I did a lot when I was 16, and then probably 4 or 5 times after that in my life, and
Yeah, I've only partaken a couple of times over the last like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I can count them on one hand. It just, I don't know.
I think once in the last 10 years for me. I don't think I'll ever do it again.
Yeah, I smoked once in the last 10 years, and I did a few edibles for like a couple of months. Got my mother-in-law, before she passed away, I got her high a bunch because she was dealing with cancer. So she was always nauseous. She had chemo. So like nothing ever worked out right for her. And they came over for, I don't know, birthday, holiday, something, and I had a bunch of chocolates, and I broke her off a little bitty piece and then watched her just walk on the moon for like 4 hours and then sent her home with a bunch more, like most of the bag. I was like, here, like, cool. I think that was the grand reason in the universe as to why I found them in the first place, like why I ever got them. Yeah, 3D printers. Oh, dude, it just finished. Oh, yep, so just finished a fun little print.
That's cool. Which one is that?
I'll show you when I pop it out. You'll see. It's pretty fun. Because I wasn't sure when you guys were going to come over. So like, I'll do like a quick like 40-minute print.
Oh.
And then it just finished. Yeah, these things have been super fun. But I don't know. What's going on? What's going on in your guys' lives? What are you up to, Butch? What do you do? Tell us a fun story. You're a funny guy.
I have no.
And you're
fun
sitting here
stories.
being quiet.
I know.
It's awkward at
awkward.
first. I told you. You just got to let it go.
Yeah.
I think my first one, I was like,
You're one of the funniest dudes I know. And you just humdrum. Come on, man. You got
Yeah.
something.
Not really
I was
sure.
I was trying to think of a few. I know I had some in my head the other day, and now I'm trying to remember what they were from our teenage years. I was telling my wife a story the other day, since this just came into mind now. I don't remember how it came up, but it came up telling the story. Like she wound up asking me a question, and my wife doesn't ask me a lot of questions about my past. Like I don't think she wants. I think she's afraid to know most of it because the stuff she's learned, she's like, "Wow, you were." Trouble. So I don't remember how this came up, but you'll remember, and you can jump in at any moment.
No.
But we partied at our buddy Kid's a lot, and we were at a party one night at Kid's house, and I'll keep his name out of it just in case he doesn't want to be on here because he's got like a professional job today. It's a job that could get him in trouble.
he can retire though soon.
So he's a federal employee. So Kid, we'd party at his house because his mom was cool with it and she was a nurse. So like if anyone got alcohol poisoning, she'd be right there to watch out for us.
Let me correct that. It wasn't that she was okay with it. It's that she
She
knew
knew
we
she
would
couldn't
do
stop
it,
it.
and she would rather us be there where she could take care of us.
Yeah.
And so
And
she
keep us
never
out of
bought us
trouble.
alcohol, but
Facts.
she would definitely, like, if we had it, she would rather us be there. Let me correct that.
She knew she couldn't stop a bunch of teenage hooligans from doing teenage hooligan shit.
Or pre-teenage. But
Yeah.
anyway.
So we were 16 and we're over there at Kid's house partying, and someone else told us about a party across town at a house we knew nobody, house full of people we wouldn't know, and you and I were like, let's go party. So we got Matt at that time was a very sober young Christian boy, very straight edge.
Yes.
We're like, and Matt was our DD and our chauffeur for everything. So like, hey Matt, you're taking us across town to a party. He goes, okay, let's go. So we hop. He had a 5.0. So we get in the 5.0, go across town, and just walk into this party with, I don't know, 200 or 300 children.
Yes.
Drinking.
Children is
Like,
the right word.
Yeah, high school kids drinking at this huge house party. We knew nobody. But we roll in, acted like we owned the place, and just started drinking with everybody. Cool. And about 40 minutes into this party, full of people, I'm out back by the kegs getting ready to get another beer.
Before that, so as soon as we walk in, we turn to the right, and we don't know anybody, and people just start waving at us. And we look over, and we're like, hey, how's it going?
And then they just start giving us shots.
Hype. Yep. And we took like 3 shots each. Me and him. Matt did not. Matt just started storming the house and walking through.
Talking to people.
I grabbed a bowl of chips, I think, and started just munching down. So we were, like, as soon as we got there, everybody was cool. Party was on.
And this is not the only time this ever happened to us. So we rolled through, hanging out, having a great time, partying it up. And I'm out back, and we met a couple of girls. We're talking to girls. And I go out back to get another drink. And then I hear someone say, oh, let's get out of here. And then you watch the entire football team from Marana High walk from behind a shed with like 4 cops. And I was like, whoa, we're being raided. So I go inside. I'm like, hey, guys, we got to go. Cops are here. Go out front, and the house is in a cul-de-sac, so it's not a lot of good places to go.
So we run around the side and have to jump through the bushes and over the wall to get out. First of all,
hop in a Mustang and a little Fox body. So there's 3 of us already in this little bitty car. When we get out, and by this point there are cops everywhere, lining both sides of the street, leading to this cul-de-sac we were parked in, with 80 other cars. So we get in and we start going, and 2 girls come running over. And they're like, let us in. So they hop in the back seat with me, and I'm like, who the hell are you? So we start going again, and then a cop comes running over. He goes, I told you not to move. Everyone out of the car. And we're like, oh no, we were almost out of here. So then we get out, we line the side of the street, and we're all just sitting there. He goes, everyone sit down. And now there's like 100 kids, like 16, 17-year-olds lined up across the side of the street, just sitting down like Indian style. And they're like, there are way too many people here.
Yeah. They're like, we can't arrest you all.
Yeah. So we're going to breathalyze the drivers. And Nick and I go, yay!
It was one of those moments that you were just like, bing, life is great.
That's the show, So Matt gets up and starts joking with the cop. And I'm like, oh, no, that's the downside to having Matt. He liked to talk a lot, and he loved to crack jokes that could get his ass in trouble.
And
he was like,
he talks too much.
I'm going to go for the highest score. I don't even drink, and I'm just going to like, oh, did I pass? Like, he's doing all this stupid crap, joking with these cops, because he knew he was going to breathe 0. And we're like, bro, we can't. Shut your mouth, blow 0, and let us go. But he just kept talking to the cops and trying to be his buddy and all this. He's like, oh, yeah, me and my friends, we don't drink. And I was like, shut up, dude, because they're looking at us. I look like I'm up to no good pretty much all the time. Shut up. So he finally let all of it. He goes, well, you guys, these girls are with you. And we're like, yeah, we've known them forever. Like, just so they didn't have to breathalyze. And then we go and we crash at their house. And the next day, like, their dad bought us McDonald's for breakfast.
Their mom
bought us McDonald's for breakfast,
which is super awkward because
3 random dudes just sleeping in the living room with your daughter and her friend.
Well, I wasn't in the living room. I was in the girl's room with her.
Well,
I passed out on her couch.
Eventually,
her mom. How I found out her mom existed was she knocked on the door, opened the door, and I thought that was going to turn into like a
something
shitstorm.
bad.
And her mom just said, "You guys want McDonald's?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, had no idea that was gonna happen.
She left, got us food. I woke up. I was on the couch. Them tapped me. Hey man, you want food? I'm like, sure. Get up, meet the dad, meet the mom. Like,
so awkward,
dude. So then that made me think. So I tell my wife about all that. She's just dying laughing. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you. So then that made me lead to thinking about this other story where you and I went to the mall just to hang out like normal moron kids. And we
Do
wound
kids
up
still
meeting.
do that?
I don't
I don't know anymore.
My kid does every once in a while.
Dude, we used to go hang out at Bookman's. Like we
We
were
just go chill.
but we lived in Marana, so it was
You
a
just
little
go
different.
listen to CDs and not buy any.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Just the demos sometimes.
So that led me to this other time that I'd almost forgotten about. It's but now that I've thought about it for a week, I remember like most of the story. So we're hanging out at the mall, and we're just walking around, just like as we pass people, just talk to them. That's just kind of what we did. Like we were pretty fearless. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because we're both like don't want to talk
It's
to
like my
anybody
youngest.
now.
You've seen
Yeah,
it.
dude.
He
Just
just
walk up. Hi, I'm Colton. Hi, I'm Colton.
walks into people's booths at the tattoo expo. Hi.
He's like, "Look
Can
at
I
my
have your
tattoo."
candy?
Yeah. That dude got so many stickers yesterday.
Oh my god. I took 13 off his shirt. 13 stickers.
So we were fearless, so we just walked through, and if girls walk by, we'd say hi. Like, nothing crazy, just be like, hey, how you doing? And then sometimes girls would stop and talk. So the two of us, one day were walking by, and this was before, it happened quite a bit. Yeah, your wife doesn't watch these, bro. Be honest.
You know me back then, and everybody knew me back then. I didn't do anything anyways. I would get to the point where it's like, hey, you're green light, everything's good to go. And I'm like, I'm
runway's
Mormon.
clear. Come on
Bye.
in.
So, yeah.
So these three girls start talking to us, and then now we're walking around with them. And they were like, hey, our parents are out of town tonight. Come hang out. We're like, bet. And this is before you rolled the Honda. So we took the Honda.
All of the month I had it.
Went back home. Yeah. Went back home, got all dudded up, and then went, and they lived out in OV. So we went out to Oro Valley and get there, and there's like 6 girls and us. So we're like,
Decent
bet,
odds.
right? So we're having a great time laughing and joking. Never met any of these people before. Like, they went to a different school, hung out with different people, rich kids. We were not rich kids. But it worked out. So we're hanging out for hours, having a good time. We're drinking with them. And then at a certain point, so they had a 2-story house and a pool. So I jumped off the roof into the pool. Scared the hell out of everybody. I don't remember any other real good details, but I remember that part of that story.
So,
Are those the same girls we drove around in the car for a while one night and swapped drivers?
no.
Because there was another time, as I think about this, bro, we ran into a lot of girls.
Yeah.
Like, our success rate should have been so much higher. We were not closers.
No.
Like, but we could go open, middle, and that was it.
Well,
Weird.
I was the guy that would sit up outside with them all night, staring at the stars, and they would say like, "Oh,
Talking
this
about
is
their problems.
yeah, talking about their problems." My arms around them even, and they're like, "Oh, this is so romantic," and I'm like, "Yeah, I should take a girl out like this sometime." Like I was so stupid.
But there was another time we wound up having a car full of girls,
Mm-hmm.
and we wound up swapping seats while driving.
Were you
And
with?
it, like, freaked all of them out at first, and then we kept doing it. Because
Yeah.
that's something we would do. We'd drive around at like 60, and his sunroof, open that bad boy up, and then he'd set up on it, and then I'd slide over into the driver's seat. He just hit cruise.
My friend had a 80 Volkswagen Rabbit,
Nice.
and he would be driving stick, right? He's like, I don't feel like shifting. Shift. And you'd be like,
Oh, yeah.
what? And then you'd have to find gear real quick because
Did it all the time.
yeah.
Daewoo Lanos, my buddy had Matt,
Yeah.
our buddy. He
We ran through Matt's cars.
he had a Daewoo Lanos manual, and I would be driving because I got my driver's license first, and his parents are saints and let me drive, and
Oh.
they even put me on his insurance. Like, they were so awesome because I pretty much chauffeured Matt around.
Yeah.
They co-signed your first car.
Yeah, his parents were awesome. I love them, but I would sit in the driver's seat. Matt would be in the back, and Randy would be in the passenger seat. And even though I would like literally chauffeur Matt around. He always sat in the back like a weirdo.
Yeah.
But he would shift Matt from the back, and Randy would steer, and I would just be doing
Yeah,
pedals.
he would just rock pedals.
Like, we got
Yeah.
really good at it.
And then Matt would be leaning forward, shifting.
And then out of nowhere, Randy would just pull the e-brake. You know,
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
And you'd have to adjust because you weren't touching the steering wheel or the shifter.
I did it getting on the freeway.
Yeah.
I did it. I got so used to doing it to just yanking the e-brake and screwing with whoever I was passengering. When Laguna got his the Honda Prelude, when he got the Lude, his dad found out when they first got it, was going through all of it, found out there was something wrong with the e-brake, so it wouldn't release the brakes. I forgot that. And one day I e-braked him, and then he had to go all the way home with his brakes engaged so his dad could undo it. And then had to say that he forgot and had pulled his e-brake when he parked one place, forgot about it. So he had to take the heat because I e-braked him. That was like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Was e-brake people.
My dad had a 99 Escort. It was a brand new Escort.
Poor car.
And so after I was able to drive and he trusted me to start driving it, he drove from Marana to Davis Mountain all the time. Had like 50,000 miles on it in like the first 2 years. Then I can start driving it. It's older. And he'd let us take it random places. I'm not joking. He was like, dude, I replaced brakes on that car like 3 months ago. They're already messed up. What are you guys doing? And I was like,
They're all Randy?
But we would take his car and we'd take Randy would lean out the side and grab. We were terrible kids.
Oh, yeah. I've thought about this like 4 times this month, dude. I'm such a dick.
People would just put their trash bags out. They didn't have cans out in Miranda. You just put your bags out and then swing by and
No, it
throw
was
them.
worse than that. There was a night we had that other dude, Brandon, who I used to roll with, not
Yeah.
BP, but was a bad influence. And you know how people can like adopt a highway and they'll come out and clean it? So one night we're driving by and we drove down a highway that had fresh garbage bags lining the whole thing.
No.
That's the story he's thinking of.
Reach out, grab it, and just either drag the bottom and it'd go everywhere, or
Yeah.
they'd just
So-
we'd get going fast, slam brakes, and they'd hit it
Yeah.
and see how far they could throw it.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
My friends
So bad now.
were shitty as well. And I would usually just spectate a lot of it and, kind of
That was
cheer it
mostly
on
me.
a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But the worst thing ever, driving, my one friend used to try to smack bicyclists on the
Oh.
butt.
Oh, that would
Do
actually
you know
be really
how
funny, but really
horrible
messed
that
up.
is at
Yeah.
40 to just, and like, yeah.
Connect?
Yeah.
Did they wreck?
A couple of them, yes. One time I was in the passenger seat. He's like, do it. I'm like, no. And he's like, do it. And I'm like, no. He's like, then drive. And like jumps over my lap to hang out the window. And I'm all,
Yep.
with this dude across me like that, just arm out the window, full
Dude.
smack. Yeah.
I see.
The worst thing I ever did was in the car because I was driving most of the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually do the bags. I definitely made it so they could go.
Yeah,
he
he
definitely
drove
did a lot of
closer.
U-turns. And
Yeah. But that's what my situation was usually.
Well, I was with my brother's friends and they had hit mailboxes a couple times and they were like, you have to hit one. So I literally just held it out the window and it dink and I was like, there you go. Like that's the worst I could
See, and
bring
someone
myself
asked
to do.
me- I don't remember if my wife asked me or if my son asked me. Someone asked me that this weekend if I ever did that. I was like, no, I never took out a mailbox.
Oh, when I hit it, I think I barely dented the
Well,
side
but I'm
too.
saying like I never even like attempted.
Yeah.
And it was never a party to that. I never took out a mailbox.
But you
I
know my
helped
brother.
you put one back after
Yes.
your ex hit one.
Yes.
But yeah, but she hit it with her car and
Yeah.
took the whole thing out, and it was held up by a telephone pole.
So we went and put it back.
We would split mailboxes.
Split them? What do you mean?
Yeah. So you learn in science class certain things, do other things, and it's similar to dry ice and water, but it uses chemicals like rubbing alcohol and other stuff. But you put it into a soda bottle, which will slide right into a mailbox, and when it explodes, it literally just rips the mailbox open. Yeah.
Misspent youth, man.
Yeah, good times. But we were using science, so it's completely fine. Yeah, it was science. We had to learn. It
You
was
Bill
our
Nyed a bunch of
hypotenuse. Yes. This is the hypotenuse right there.
The quadratic formula helped
Yeah,
you with that.
exactly.
So you're golden.
Yeah, good times.
Oh, it's like The Martian. I'm about to science the shit out of this mailbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good
That's
times.
fantastic.
But I'm there with you. I most of the time I just spectated, or
Yeah.
I would make it. I would do assists, like I would drive
Yeah.
while they did it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I really,
He was always the layup guy,
Yeah.
or he was setting them up while we were knocking them down.
Yeah.
I was really good at it.
What's funny is you've got an older brother who's a bad example.
For sure.
I didn't have that excuse. I was just formulating.
the
I
older
was the
brother
older brother
with the bad examples.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, goodness gracious. That's so freaking funny. I'm trying to, like, what are some other good ones that you remember from some of the wild stuff?
So me and Matt were driving one day, and he rolled down his window and he started talking to this girl, and she was in a white Honda Civic, and I wish I had a better description, but it was like probably a 96, 97, and he's sitting there talking to the girl, and he's talking to the passenger, and it was like the longest red light ever, or a train or something, and we were sitting there. They seriously talked. I felt like it was forever, and I was like, do you just want to come get in? And she's all, yeah. And so I got out and just went and got in their car, and they got out and went and got in their car. And I was all, we'll meet you there, to Matt. And like, I just talked to her. Like, I wasn't flirting very much. The girl was like, oh my God, this is so weird. Like, she was freaked out. And I was like, not trying to be intimidating
Creepy,
or
yeah.
anything. I was just like, yeah, I'm just letting them talk. I don't care. But we drove and we went to the mall, and they were going somewhere close to it, so it wasn't a big deal. But it was like the most awkward thing, because I just sit in this person's car. Because in the moment, I was just like, you want to switch? Yeah, sure. So we switch, and then I sit down, and I'm like, should I have? I don't know you. So should I have done? I know it's cool with Matt, but you. It was super awkward, but it was pretty fun.
That's great. Yeah, we did some, like, out of the box things often.
We had to. We were
Like-
bored out in Marana.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
Closer to Justin's Waterworld,
Oh, okay. So you
like at the end of San Joaquin.
yeah, still pretty far.
Yeah, yeah.
When did you start drinking? I know you did. So You hadn't really-
See, yeah,
I'm the reason they started
13
drinking.
or 14.
Yeah.
My dad partake in marijuana for years, right? And like I remember as a child, being like, they said and dare that you're a bad person.
yeah.
And he was like, they can shove it. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, because my dad was,
So
you know.
what would have been better is if you were in there and you're like, oh, my dad has
Yeah,
tons
exactly.
of that.
I was smart enough to not say anything to anybody, but I was like, oh my God, he uses drugs.
My dad used the devil's lettuce.
Yeah, exactly. So at like 12 or 13, I would steal roaches and like smoke roaches, which is like the highest form.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, delish.
I
Yeah.
had at one point when I was like 15, I had like you remember the M&M's minis?
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of those tubes full of roaches from my brother had a friend whose parents were like hardcore smokers, and then him and his little buddies would collect the roaches and smoke them. And so he started bringing me some, and I was like, all right. But then eventually I got to be really
Graduated?
good. Yeah, I got to be really good friends with his oldest brother, who I was smoking at the time, and I had scored like because at school, I mean, there was a bunch of dudes who grew it and had it and stuff. So I got into it, and then started getting into like the resale side of it, you know. So I managed to have quite a bit. So there was one day, I'm out on his back porch, because I practically lived at his house through my teenage years, and at one point I had my own bedroom.
Yeah.
So I'm out there on the back steps smoking, and his oldest brother was a hardcore gamer and stuff, so he stayed up most nights. So he came out to have a cigarette and bumped me with the door, and like my soul almost left my body getting caught, because I didn't know Mike all that well yet.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I hung out with him, played video games. I didn't know any history. I didn't know what he was into. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I'm smoking. Like, I wasn't playing it off like everyone knew I smoked cigarettes. So I was just playing it off, and he's like, "That's not cigarettes." But he didn't call me on it. He
No,
just let me
they're-
come back inside.
They're cloves.
Yeah, right.
They hit one of
I
those
tried
red
to
stems.
use that before. What's that smell? That's cloves. That's
See,
what
and
that
I didn't
is.
learn about clothes until I was an adult. I didn't even know it was a thing. But, hello, pretty lady.
What is this?
French toasted.
French toasted?
Is it for me or for him?
There's 3 of them.
Oh.
Do you want one?
Oh, it smells good.
Well,
French.
that's Randy's glass.
Oh, sorry.
Here.
Sorry.
I'm just going to touch all of them.
You're welcome.
There you go.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
I was just pouring samples and I was like, God, this smells
Oh,
good.
cheers,
I'm
fellas.
Went out to the guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's Crown. It says so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's ground too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Not too bad.
I like your style.
If you're gonna do it, you might as well do it.
So when did you start drinking?
Exactly.
Anyway.
But, yeah, so then, like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 days later. So Mike didn't say anything about it. He just kind of let me come back inside and didn't say shit. And like 3 days later, Nick calls me. He's like, "Hey, man." He goes, "So the other day you were outside. Mike came out." And I was like, "Yeah, man. Like, I hope that didn't like end my ability to come over. Like, your parents tolerate the fact that I smoke. They would not be okay with that." He goes, No, he doesn't care. He was wondering if you had any.
Yep.
So then we started like trading, and then at that point, me and Mike became really tight.
Yeah.
Like, and I could do whatever I wanted hanging out with Mike, and it was all good. Yeah. So many like just misspent like days, weeks, and months as a teen. Like, I chose all the wrong people to associate with. Set myself backwards.
So,
But back to his question.
I'm 13, 14, somewhere in there. When I was 9, I got a hangover.
Oh.
I was unaware. So my dad is like, "Hey, don't drink any of the eggnog." It was around Christmas time, right? He's like, "Don't drink the eggnog."
The most delicious thing in the house.
Right? And
Don't
I'm
touch
like,
it.
"I love eggnog. Screw you." So I take the thing out of the middle of the night and I chug like half the bottle. And I put it back, not knowing that he had drank half of it and then poured alcohol in there, right? And the next day I wake up just feeling like garbage, like sick, throwing up. I'm like, what? He's like, "Did you drink eggnog?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't drink that."
yeah.
No. Yeah, so I was like 8 or 9, like just complete.
Just blast it.
So,
Oh, I went back to sleep. I didn't even get to enjoy it. It was just like woke
But
up.
it was probably the most peaceful sleep you've ever experienced.
so my parents were Mormon, strict Mormon. Most of my family strict Mormon, except for like brothers, sisters, stuff like that. And so growing
The
up,
ones that came to Tucson,
Yeah.
all kind of lost it.
yes, well, rightfully so. But so it was like never a part of our lives. Drinking, nothing like that. I didn't see my dad drink until he knew I drank. Like just didn't exist really. I saw my mom have a glass of wine once, and she was like all fucked up. And I remember my dad looking over and be like, "That's why you don't drink." Like, you know, I already did, but so we moved here when I was 7, and we were at my grandma or my aunt's house, and my grandma was there, and my grandma did not have a filter of any sort, which was fantastic.
So she drank.
I grew up knowing she did, but I didn't see it because she was one of those coffee mug type of people.
Yeah.
So
She was a math teacher.
yeah. So we're
shop
sitting there
class.
and we're watching, and I don't remember Bud Light, Budweiser, Coors, whatever commercial, and they're playing volleyball and having a blast. And my Aunt Penny leans around the corner. She's like, "Boys, just remember, you don't have to drink to have fun." And my grandma's sitting there with her coffee mug, and she goes, "But it sure in the hell helps." and I remember I was like 8 years old, and I was like, "You're cool. I like you."
Oh, that's fantastic. See, like, I grew up, the only person in my family for like all of my younger years that was a big drinker was my grandfather, like full tilt alcoholic, Vietnam vet alcoholic. So I was like, it doesn't seem like that much fun. It smells terrible. He drank Milwaukee's Beast and whatever else was cheap. He just wanted to get drunk. He didn't care what it was.
You're drinking for effect, not
Not
for flavor.
Not for flavor.
Yeah.
So very much not like a Scotch guy, which I've graduated to be. But like growing up, when we moved out to the valley, James's parents being full tilt, Budweiser and Bud Light alcoholics. So they're back.
We got our beer
porch.
there a lot.
Yeah. So it was easy to shop for booze at his house. His dad drank nonstop Budweiser. His mom drank nonstop Bud Light. They had a fridge on their back patio that stayed stocked full of cases. They'd buy like 4 cases a week, and then the next week more cases. Like, they nonstop drank. So I saw him going off the rails pretty early on. I was like, dude, like, your household sucks. But it was another house that I had a bedroom in. Like, so I was over there all the time, so I do whatever the hell I want. Never got caught, never got in trouble for anything. Yeah.
Because they didn't care.
But my dad was straight edge. So, like, he could smell everything.
Oh,
like, if I was drinking, so I'd stay gone for weeks at a time so I could get away with it.
Nope.
Yeah.
There, I remember getting phone calls, and I don't think it was very often, but I remember a couple of times I'd get a phone call from you like, "Hey, can I crash your house tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, dude?" And you're like, "I'm hammered and I can't go home."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure.
Yep, it would happen. because you were close, so I could get home pretty quickly from your place. And if my dad asked or stopped by, I was there, and I'd just be like, I was here the whole time. Because my dad's big thing was, as long as he knew where I was at, he was cool with me being gone. So I was like, I'm gonna be with Nick, or I'm gonna be with James. And as far as he could tell, that neither one of them were ever up to anything nefarious. So
I got away with everything. That's why I was like,
I got away with a lot, but not everything, but a lot. But when I got busted big. Like, I went all in on getting in trouble.
well, I meant with my parents. Yeah,
I met with my parents.
my parent. I only had my dad spank me once, like really, really hard. But most of the time, if I got in trouble, my mom was that mom that'd be like, "You're grounded. Go to your room." 15 minutes later, we're out there playing video games. She's like, "Oh, what game are you playing?"
Yeah.
Like I don't know if she was
Didn't
oblivious
enforce
or
anything.
just they didn't enforce stuff, but it still kept me in line pretty well.
Yeah,
for the
but
most part.
Like, you naturally, like, behaved generally. Like, there was some in the moment things. You were in the moment. I was plotting and scheming. Like, you were just like, oh, hey, this thing looks really fun to do. We shouldn't do it, but I'm going to. Like, getting away with, we were speeding. Well, he was speeding one night. I think we were on, like, Stone. And I don't remember where we were going or what we were doing, but he saw a cop. And he was like, damn it, I know I was speeding. So he pulled in front of a bank and pulled out his phone and pretended to be on the phone with his mom. And
We were
the cop
going
got
down-
up.
We were going down Oracle. We had just left Mike Barnett's house.
Okay, yeah, that
And
sounds right.
we were headed to Matt Maneely's house.
Yep. So he pulled over, grabbed his phone, and the cop pulled up. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And he was like, "I'm sorry, my mom was calling me. I don't talk on the phone while I'm driving, so I had to haul ass to get to a place to pull over so I could talk to my mom." And then, because the cop didn't seem like he didn't believe him, he actually called his mom, and then was like, "Hey, mom, what's wrong? What's going on? I just."
Yep.
And then the cop was like, "Okay," and then we got away with it.
Yeah, I could always do that. So I like always got out of being in trouble, or always had like good grades. So when a teacher would walk in and there'd be 6 of us doing something we shouldn't do, she would look at me and be like, "Nick, get everybody out of here!" Like I was just that guy.
He wasn't known as the bad kid.
Yeah, but I did I was always a part of a lot of shit. I didn't always.
Yeah, he was a party too. That's how the bank. That's how the courts would see it. Yeah, you were a party too.
I was mainly smart enough to leave before somebody came. Like, we'd go egg a house, and then, like, I'm like, all right, I'm going home, and just boop, I'm at home, right? My friends are still, like, in front of the house, like, laughing and, like...
Being idiots.
Yeah. And then they get caught, and they're like, well, Butch was here, too. And I'm like, I've been home for at least an hour. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I left at least an hour ago.
I've been home all night. I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about.
Isn't that right, Dad? My dad would be like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's right. See, I was in my room. You didn't know. That's where I was.
See, and because other people viewed me as the one that was not the bad kid.
You would not be there and get in trouble.
Exactly. And I was able to get a lot of my friends to be able to come out. Like, Harms was, like, always grounded because he was always getting caught. And his mom loved me and saw me as the good kid. So I was like your role in our relationship for him. So he'd be like, hey, bro, my mom said I can't go nowhere unless it's with you. Can you take me, go do this? Can we go do that? I'm like, all right, cool, man. So I'd get him and we'd go bomb around and doing stuff because I was the guy who was basically allowed to bail him out for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Misspent youth, man. I look back on this stuff often.
So we were at Bedrocks one night. We leave, go across the street. There was a Circle K right there.
Yep.
Right? Hey, mister, hey, want to buy us some alcohol? Some dude finally was like, yeah, sure, right?
No problem.
So he buys us a 5th of 151.
Okay.
Because we mean business. We're not messing around.
Did you know that's what you were getting, or is that just what he bought you?
No, that's what we told him we
Oh,
wanted.
okay.
Yeah, we're like,
Wow.
151,
That-
and he was like, okay. And I was like, yeah. Thanks, dude. So I had a single cab S10.
Yep.
There's 5 of us,
Okay, been there.
right? 5 of us.
Clown Carnage.
One of my friends was on, I forget what it's, GIPS or something like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
like extreme probation,
Yeah, my
kind of
brother was
thing.
on that.
right? So anyway, we get our booze. We pull out of that Circle K. As soon as I pull out, I see headlights come on the shoulder, and I'm like, shit, cop. So I pull in. There's a Jack in the Box right there. Pull in. I go through the drive-thru. I'm like, fuck you, cop. Ha, ha, ha. Go through. I buy like 2 tacos or something in the thing. Pull back out onto Ina. Boop, headlights again. I'm like, mother. oh, geez. Him again, right? Pulls me over. Everybody out of the car. I know you have alcohol.
Did
this
you at
and
least
that.
get rid of it while you were in the drive-through?
No.
Perfect
I thought he was
opportunity,
gonna
man.
leave. I was
Come
like, he's not
on.
going to wait for us to get out of here.
You could have ditched a
Yeah.
couple of friends
I know.
with the bottle.
Hindsight.
Yeah.
Right? But I still.
I live in hindsight, yeah.
I still. So I'm on the frontage road. I get pulled over. I hung out with shady people. I'll say it that way.
I relate.
Everybody out of the car. My 2 friends are sitting in the bed. They stay. The 3 of us that are in the front seat. You 2 up to the front. My 1 friend who's on gyps goes to the back of the cop car, right? So he's separating everybody. My friend up in the front of my truck with me is like, hey, I have a razor blade and a mirror in my pocket. And I'm like,
Paraphernalia.
what? And he was like, yeah. He's like, well, I don't have anything left. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, what the hell?
Paraphernalia.
Yeah. And he's like, well, what do I do? I'm like, get rid of it, dude. Like, I don't care what you do, right? So, like, he's like, push me. And I'm like, what? And I, like, push him, and he knocks his hat, and he, like, throws stuff into the side, right? Because we're dumb. Like, the cop's back there. He's not looking at us,
Yeah.
right? Like, we're
Now
trying
you caused
to...
the scene.
Yeah, we caused a scene, right? He's like, what's going on? I'm like, he's saying I should have ran, and I told him no, and, like, we had a confrontation. He's like, oh, well, you know, the only reason I'm going easy on you is because, like, I didn't have any record at all. Like, I was the only one there. Because I, like, again, I was smart, and I always left before anybody got in
Boogie.
trouble.
Boogie man.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, I know I was sitting across the street, and I saw you get a handle of alcohol. Where is it? And I'm like, it's under the seat in the back. And he's like, okay. And he hands it to me, and he's like, I want you to empty it out. And I'm like, what? And he's like, empty it out. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so I open it, and I pour it out on the side of the road.
That's so bad.
I know. And I'm like, at the time, it was like 15 or 20 bucks.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
just watching. Cha-ching,
oh my
cha-ching,
God.
cha-ching.
right?
Did you look at him afterwards and be like, I don't have any alcohol anymore. You can't
Yeah.
get mad at me.
Yeah. So then he's like, all right, well, you guys are good to go. And just boop. He's like, get him home. And I'm like, all right. Because I was the only one that was 18. So I was like the responsible one. And I'm like, I got to get people home. Yeah. Complete.
That is so
After
lucky.
he poured it out.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's better than what. I mean, I got screwed when we got arrested because I got charged for everything that kid had in his car.
Yep.
Stuff we weren't even drinking that night. I didn't
Yeah.
even know existed, but because I was the oldest person in the car,
Mm-hmm.
because I had just turned 17,
Mm-hmm.
like a week before turned 17. So I was the oldest person in the car by like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
We were drinking a gallon of pop off. Yeah, which I have not had since. And we were, you were real bad.
Oh, come on. I knew to yell at the cop. It made it better.
Yeah, you knew your rights. That's for damn sure. That's what he repeatedly told the cops. I know my rights. Mr. Peterson, get out of the car. I know my rights. I don't have to get out of the car.
He stuck his head in and he's like, Mr. Peterson stepped out of the car. I was like, you get out of the car. Like I was completely coherent.
That was
That's-
so rough. What sealed our fate, and I knew it would, because I was sleeping in the back seat of a Prelude. I'm laying down. I had a cowboy hat. I had it over my face, and I was already kind of like trying to sleep because it was only like a 7-minute drive from there to Mike's, and Kevin keeps pulling over to let him throw up, and I was like, dude, stop pulling over. Just let him throw up in your car. Like, we'll clean it tomorrow. But Kevin kept pulling over, and his car was stupid loud, that big old exhaust.
7-inch exhaust on a
Yeah.
Prelude, totally illegal.
Yeah, so the cop pulled us over, and I saw the lights, and he's like, damn, we're being pulled over. I was all, just tell him I'm sleeping. Like, if I can't see you, you can't see me, kind of
Yeah.
childish nonsense. And
I have a toddler.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly how I operated that night. So get pulled over. Guy comes up, sees us back, sees him doing this in the passenger seat and me laid out. And Kevin's talking to him, and when he gets his ID, he's asked for everyone's ID. Kevin's like, "Hey, get up, ID." So I hand up my ID, and as soon as I walk back up, they're like, "Mr. Peterson, where's your brother tonight?" I was like, "Oh, we're done."
My brother was always
He
in trouble.
knows. He knows John. We're done. Like if he knew to ask that, we're host, like just by association. And then sure enough, spent the next hour and a half on the side of the road.
And oddly enough, we could have just been like about 10 minutes out because we were just with him.
And he was on 2 broken legs, so he wasn't running nowhere. He got into an altercation a few months earlier with someone at a different party.
Yep.
And got hit. He was on his bike and got hit by a car.
Chasing the guy down.
Chasing the guy, and the guy hit him with the car, wrecked the bike, and broke both of his legs.
Broke one leg, hyper extended his Achilles tendon or whatever.
Yeah,
on his
like-
right.
Yeah.
So he was all messed up in a wheelchair, broken arm.
Just hopping around on crutches. Yeah, and then having to deal with court through all that.
That was his own damn fault, though. The court
Yeah.
was totally different subject.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's funny seeing someone who's just starting to heal from those kind of damages in full leg irons and a belly band,
Mm-hmm.
trying to hobble. He's like, man, I broke my damn leg. I can't really walk. Yeah.
How bad I was that night.
Oh, that was so funny.
And this is what I'm told, to be clear. My brother said he found me in the desert.
It's true. It's true.
So I wasn't
you were
there.
told, and it's true.
But he said I was about 25 feet away from the fire.
I wasn't there.
I wasn't there. It doesn't matter. He said I was about 25 feet from the fire behind like 2 bushes. And I told him I couldn't find anybody. So I just sat down and started playing with cactus. Those little balls of cactus.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there like, I was like, I couldn't find anybody. So sit down. And he's like, okay, we're going to get you home.
And I was hanging out with Morrow and what was the other big guy?
Tommy?
Tommy. So I was hanging out with Tommy and Morrow and like just chopping it up, whatever. And I think they were probably mocking me from what I remember because I was wearing just a beater
Mhm.
that said lifeguard on it because I just came back from Texas. So I was wearing this Texas lifeguard beater. And I had no business wearing just that. I was like 130 pounds soaking wet, looked like a shaved bird. And Tommy and Morrow were some big dudes.
He was like 240, 5'8", 5'9", and roided out of his
Yeah,
mind.
and a kickboxer.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wild dudes. So hanging out with them, chopping it up, and then John comes over, and he was like, "All right, ready? It's time for you to go." And I was like, "Go where, man? Like I don't even know where Kevin or Nick are." And he was like, "No, they're over here." And then he guides me. They guide me to the car because I was not able to walk very well. I could stand just fine. Walking was a problem. So they guide me to the car, and I sit down in the car, and he's like, "All right, I gotta go find Nick." So I'm just chilling in the car. At this point, I'm starting to nod off. And then he comes back over and he goes like, "Randy, get in the back seat." And I was like, "Bro, I don't want him to get up." And he's like, "Nick needs to be in the front. He's way worse than you." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like holding Nick up whilst being on crutches, trying to get Nick in the car. So he has to get someone else, like Asian or somebody, LA, to like help you into the car. So I get in the back seat of this dropped out Prelude. You get in, and he's like, "All right, you guys get out of here. Like you need to leave." I'm like, that sucks. And he only came. He wasn't going to that party. He only came because someone else clearly saw the state of us.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, you need to come get 46 and a half out of here. They're not doing good." So we leave, and we weren't doing good. I don't even know what happened to Black Man.
Which black man?
Vince. He went with us.
Oh yeah, he did, but he left with that girl.
Oh, okay.
He left with Lindsay something.
And to be fair, that was his nickname. That's what we called him. So it's not me being racist.
We called him something worse.
Yeah.
That was what he told us to call him.
Yeah,
so.
that's how he introduced himself. So, but yeah, even my dad remembers. "Oh, Black Man, yeah, whatever. I haven't seen him in years, you know." Or
I know he actually wrote on my Facebook randomly. He's like, "Hey, remember when you used to call me my blank?" And I was like, "I have a real job now. I can't respond to this because I yes, I do, but I don't want to get in trouble." And he,
yeah,
wouldn't do that now.
Yeah, it was an inward gym situation.
Yeah.
Can you hand me that ore? Yeah, dude, we hung out with some colorful characters back in the day and did a lot of ridiculous nonsense.
Yeah. But so that all started because of vodka, right?
Yeah,
Pop-off.
pop off vodka.
Yeah, that's
Pop-off vodka, and I was way too emotional about a female.
Oh yeah,
that
way
was
too
so
emotional.
everybody, I'm pretty sure, has a vodka. The first time I blacked out was
That was the first time I blacked out.
a similar situation.
Vodka.
Oro Valley party. I don't know anybody there. I went with 2 friends. We show up. We're at a house. I'm 10 to 14 beers deep. Playing pool. I think I'm really good at that point. Like, I don't know if it was real or not, but I remember being really good at 10 or 14 beers, somewhere in there, right? Going into the kitchen, and they had a handle of Popov and orange juice, and they're like, we're making screwdrivers. And I remember filling up a Dixie cup with just vodka and talking to this girl, like flirting with her, and going, orange juice is for babies, and going, with the whole red cup of vodka. And I remember like halfway through going, I don't taste anything. Like, this is weird. It doesn't taste. Why doesn't this taste like anything? And then I remember nothing. Apparently, I started fights. There was a picture of me that my friend took that I was sitting on the toilet, throwing up into the bathtub. Mind you, I know nobody there, right? They said they put me asleep. I was on the couch asleep. And I woke up and just yelled my friend's name. And was like, I don't feel good. Just all over these people's couch.
Oh.
Wow.
Same friend who had 1980 Volkswagen Rabbit. So after I guess I'm done being sick everywhere, they're like, we're putting you in the Rabbit. So I wake up at 5 a.m.
It's a roomy car.
With a sleeping bag over me, right? Just like, just hitting door and roof and like, what the hell's going on? Like, just claustrophobic and angry. And then get out of the car, and all my friends are in the house, right? So I'm there like, where the hell is everybody? And then I'm trying to remember, like, did we park in front of the house or did we park down a little bit? So I'm like knocking on people's.
You don't even know.
Like 5:30, like, is Bailey in there? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good story. I like that.
I'm really glad I didn't end with that one being, because at the beginning of that was very familiar to when Anthony still lived in that house that you guys lived in.
Oh, yeah.
When Morrow leveled that dude.
Which time?
Well, the bad time. The time that everyone was like, we need to leave. Because that dude like was just bleeding profusely.
Yeah.
Because dude in the kitchen was in there drinking, and he was a little heavy. And we hadn't been there all that long. Like, we were there like, I don't know, an hour. Everyone's in there shooting pool. Because that was the pool table that went to your guys' house when you were at the other place. The marble pool table. Like all the marble.
Yeah.
So we were there for a little while, and I wound up going out there, and this is when Morrow still had the M3.
Okay.
So
Anthony had it.
Was it Anthony? Yeah. So Anthony had this M3 and a couple of Ducatis and something else. So I was a big gearhead. I'm in there hanging out with, for sure, Morrow. I think Anthony came out a couple of times, but probably just to get like more drinks out of the fridge that they had back there. But I'm out there, BSing with a couple of guys about the cars, and all that. I'm like, dude, that Ducati's so rad. Like, because he just got that second one. So I'm just out there just drooling on these cars, talking about them and stuff. And they had just put the Lambo hinges on the M3. So I'm just out here just chopping it up with the car guys. And then I come back inside to get a drink. I get a drink, and then I'm in the living room hanging out with like probably you and a couple other people. And then some stuff starts popping off in the kitchen where I just was, and you could see it from the living room. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, who's yelling? And we're looking, and we're trying to see past everyone, because at this point, everyone's angry. And then all you see is, I don't remember who it was. That I don't remember. But someone had too much, and it popped off to Morrow. And Morrow wasn't having it, because that dude's got the shortest fuse ever.
He was like the Hulk. Like, no joke.
Yeah, like tiny Hulk, dude.
He looked like my size, but he was like 40 pounds heavier. And when he like got pissed and started to flex, like he seriously like grew in size. It was weird and
just solid muscle mass and aggression. So, and could throw down. So I just remember like, man, what's going on? And they're just yelling at each other. And the dude's like, man, whatever, and but he's like, Morrow never should have hit the guy. The guy was already half out. And then he just went, bunk. And that guy slammed into the fridge, and then I think he hit the counter on the way down. And then there was just blood pouring out of his forehead everywhere. And we're all like, I think Morrow just killed that guy. We need to leave. So everyone just boogied out to cars, and then you just see everyone vacating the premises because that dude got leveled hard. And wasn't it? What party was that everyone was bowling for Morrow?
Oh, so you weren't there.
I wasn't, but I remember hearing about it.
We went to a party on the like Silver Lake area,
It's like, right
like
on
all
the edge of
those
the
little
south
college
side.
houses and stuff. And there was apartments, and there were 2 stories. So the person who had the apartment had been dating somebody, and then one day was just like, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm going back home," because she was here for school, U of A, and I'm going back home, and I'm not coming back. And they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, all my shit's in your apartment." And she was like, "Oh, here, I'll just give you a key. Just give it back to the front when you're done." So
Yeah,
naturally,
that-
they throw
what
a
could go
party
wrong?
there, and we walk in, and this is like, when I'm seeing this, just so you know, all of this stuff that's happening, I'm like, "Oh, this is normal."
Yeah,
You
this is
walk,
all routine.
open the door, and it opened to the left, and you looked right, and you'd walk up the stairs, and then kitchen, living room, balcony, bedroom, basic apartment. Oh, bathroom was like through the kitchen. We walk up the stairs, and there's people throwing knives at the roof. And they're just stabbing in, and then it's sometimes they fall back out, and it hit somebody sometimes when they were getting drinks, because they do it right above where people were getting drinks. You know, intelligent
Wild
motherfuckers.
people.
People were taking the couch and trying to fit it out the sliding glass door, and it didn't. So they took off the sliding glass door to get it out, so that they had a couch out on the balcony. They were pulling up the carpet so that they could draw on the floor.
Just dismantling.
Just fucking this apartment up. It wasn't in his name. He didn't
Yeah.
give a shit. But so this is all the stuff that's going on, and right at the top of the stairs, they had one of those water containers, 65-gallon things upside down, little water, and they had like 15 water jugs inside the tiny little pantry that were right there. That's like literally all that was left. And so Jeremy
Like
Morrow
the
got there
sparklets.
and starts walking upstairs, and I think it was Little Asian was the first one.
Okay.
But they grabbed the thing off the top of it and it's all bowling for Morrow and just threw it down the stairs. So the water's just spraying everywhere. And
It's like a
Jeremy's
version
like,
of Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Yeah.
and I don't know.
Only Donkey Kong is the one coming up the
Yeah.
stairs.
I don't know if how many he missed and how many hit him. But all of them ended up at the bottom of the floor, and they were like tearing the top off and then throwing it down, so water was just going everywhere. And that night ended with Jeremy throwing someone. So the sliding glass door shut. He threw someone through the stationary part. They land on the couch that is now outside. He opens the door, picks the guy up, and throws him back through the stationary side, which is now open. So back through a sliding glass window, and there's just glass everywhere. And I look over at Matt, and I look at my brother John, and I was like, I think it's time to go. And they're like, all right, cool. So we go downstairs, and Matt lost his keys. It was when he had the Pontiac.
Oh yeah. The Sunfire.
Yep, Sunfire. So he lost his keys, so we go downstairs and get in the car. And the only reason I'm continuing the story is because of Brian Tuffley. So we get in my brother's girlfriend's car, Brianne. There's like 9 of us packed into this
that the runner?
rough 4Runner. And we drive to the gas station, hit the gas station on the way to Anthony's house. And we're sitting outside of this thing, and Brian is... So John and Brianne were up front. Me, Brian, Tommy... Matt Manili and somebody else were in the back seat, and Brian was like underneath, partly me and shit. He's like, I gotta get out. And we're like, what the fuck? So we're like squeezing to let him out. And he jumps out the window, doesn't even open the door, like all this awkward thing. And there is 2 running Harleys.
Oh no.
He runs over, jumps on the Harley, and just looks back at us, and he's like sitting on it, and we're like, no, just no. And Brianne and John were getting in at that moment, and John's all, hurry the fuck up. And he just goes, when? And these 2 guys start booking it outside, and he jumps it back like halfway in the window, and Brianne just takes off. But he just... and he's like making the noise and everything. It was like, oh my god, we're gonna die. Those guys.
Dude, Tough was wild.
Yeah.
That dude was wild. What was the thing where would he throw something? Oh, what was that story? John told it once. It was him and Tough rolling around, and he's like, slow down. And he threw something, and it was like a drink that went into someone else's car.
Oh,
was
yeah.
Screwing with him.
Yeah, Well, they were going back and forth. The guy cut my brother off. He cut him off, blah, blah. And my brother just got his car painted. And so the guy grabbed like a handful of change or something, the hard, and threw it out and literally just fucked my brother's car up.
Peppered his brand new paint job.
So my brother was not a very...
He's not a forgiving man.
Yeah. So they drove by and like they start grabbing everything, and Brian was like, slow down, slow down. So he had a brand new full icy.
That's what it was.
It didn't go through the window. I don't know if it can or not physically, but it definitely the way it hit, it shattered their window. Like that window was gone and obliterated, and then they drove off. But yeah, that was like a battle for them. But
one of my favorites. Probably, I mean, there's a statute of limitations on stuff, and I don't have that many viewers. So the type of stuff his brother would do. We're hanging out one night, and it's like midnight, so not like super late, but we're playing video games, right? And we're at his house, and his brother's car, you could hear it from like a mile up the road. And so he's bombing along, and we're like, oh, he's almost home. So he gets home, and then you hear his car idling for like half an hour out front, just right outside the wall where we're at. And we're like, what the hell's going on? And then finally you hear the car turn off, and he comes in, and we're like, what's up? And he's like, hey, what's going on, man? We're like, and then you hear something outside. We're like, what's going on? And he was like, he goes, I had to swap out my taillights. And we're like, what? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I was cruising along. He goes, and there was this. He drove an Eclipse. And he goes, because it was right after Fast and Furious, so he had a Brian freaking Eclipse. Mm-hmm. So he's like, yeah, and this dude kept following me. He goes, so finally at a stoplight, I stopped, and I got out of my car and went up to his car, and the dude was on the phone with the cops, and he's like, those are my taillights. He's like, no, they're not. He goes, those are my taillights. You stole them. They're stolen. Those are my taillights. I know those are my taillights. I'm on the phone with the cops right now. So he tried punching the window and breaking it. Didn't work. So he got his car, hauled ass home, and took the taillights off of his car and put them under the house, because I'm pretty sure they were that guy's taillights.
Yeah, it's very possible.
My favorite one, though, still to this day, and I say it, and my wife has no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Another night, same concept. We're up playing video games, hear the car, and then coming to the house is his brother and Tuffley, and Tuffley's carrying an entire bumper skirt for a car. And we're like, what's up? They're like, what's up, guys? And he's like, I got a bumper. Just dancing with his freaking bumper. Brought it into the house, and the next day they swapped the bumper skirt on Tuffley's car. There was like NOS bottles, like full, like the big bottles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just stacked up. Like there for a while, dude. The entryway to your parents' house was full of car parts.
Yeah. None of ours.
Yeah.
It was everybody else's stuff.
Yeah. Like there was some wild stuff going on back in the day. We were around all the wrong people.
I had a friend that was like that, where my friend had a Focus, and he was like, I really want to get rims. And my other friend was like, well, let's find some. And we were just driving around, right? And he's like, oh, like that one, right? And he's like, cool, follow him. And I'm in the back seat, and I'm like, what? And he's like, follow him. So we follow this dude until he goes home, right? And then he's like, all right, cool, write down the address. And sure as shit, my friend got those rims like a week later.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that was this dude, and like for reasonably priced as well. And I remember like he would just do crazy stuff. I'm like, how are you alive? Like, what is your problem?
Dude, this is how nuts my brother was. And if I'm telling the story a little wrong, I'm sorry. I'm telling it secondhand as well, from a long time ago. But my brother worked at Converges back when it was call center for Verizon, I think it was.
Yeah.
And this guy that worked there, my brother said he stole his CD player. Like he stole my brother's CD player. Mm-hmm. And again, my brother's not a very forgiving person, and it was one of his friends.
Even if it wasn't his in the first place.
Yes.
He's like, I stole that fair.
Exactly. And so my brother told me this before it happened and told me what he was going to do. But what he did is, instead of just stealing the stuff back, confronting the guy, whatever, he waited till him and his wife, who both had very similar nice cars. One was a Talon and one was an Eclipse, so they were like the same car. Mm-hmm. And everybody had Eclipses that my brother knew, because they would swap parts on them and shit all the time. So he waits till the guy passes out. They roll both cars out. They take him to the middle of the desert, strip them, and then play bumper cars with them. until they're barely running. One tire's popped and fucked up. They got one on a spare. They park them, wipe them down, and leave them in the driveway. And the insurance company did not believe the guy that someone else would do that to him, so he didn't get any money back for anything.
Pretty rough.
Yeah,
Pretty
it was.
rough.
He's like, he told me the next day. He's like, the airbags went off. That shit hurts.
Yeah, there was some wild stuff happening.
I'll be right
back
back.
in
I'm gonna
those
go take a
days.
piss while you guys are talking.
All right. I'll pause this one so we can start another one.
Okay.
Misspent youth. Come on, mouse. Wake up.
I'm Nick.
Yeah, that's Nick. Probably shouldn't have used any of our real names, but it's too late. It's on the internet. It's there forever. Tucson, Arizona. I'm Randy. That was Nick. This is Butch. Peace.